Dearest gentle watchers, in the early hours of this morning, we were all collectively blessed with the second half of season 3 of our beloved Bridgerton show. And if you clicked on this thumbnail, then you were either like me, incensed at the amount of disrespect we were all subjected to for the 4 additional episodes we got, or you loved every moment of it and are curious about whether or not this is yet another clickbait video. Not to worry, over the next 20 to 25 minutes, this speaker intends to prove to you how utterly disrespectful season 3B truly was. To Penelope, to Colin, to Polin and its fans, to Love and Romance, to Bisexual Benedict, to Lady Tilley Arnold, to Will Mondrich, to Cressida, to fans of Eloise, and to me for waiting till the final episode to drop kick me in the face with the meeting of Michaela Sterling, and finally to the fans of the show in general. Like I said, it was quite the disrespect, so settle in for the ride, gentle watchers, and let's chat afterwards, shall we? The second half of Bridgerton season 3 picks up where we left off. Colin, after having his hands all over and in Penelope whilst they were on their carriage ride, announces to their family that they are engaged to be wed. Everyone is delighted at the news except for Eloise, who is pissed and accuses Penelope of having plotted this scheme, implying that she only became her friend to get closer to Colin, which is the first disrespect we get. And although you probably think that I believed that scene was disrespectful to Penelope, you would be wrong. The person who I believed was most disrespected in that scene was actually Eloise. Why? Because Eloise Bridgerton is not a moron. She's a very intelligent girl, some would say too intelligent, and sure, she has been pissed for the better half of this season. She does feel betrayed by her friend after all, and although I do not agree with her, I understand where she's coming from. But Eloise being pissed and occasionally cruel with her words and barbs towards Penelope does not stupid Eloise make. And like I said, she's a very intelligent girl, one who is aware that when the Bridgertons moved in next door to the Featheringtons, Penelope, like her, was age 6, 7? Like, I know that Pen is smart and cunning and scheming, but she was 7. What 7-year-old is already scheming about marrying the boy next door and figuring out that the best way to ingratiate herself into the family was through the sister? Say what you would about Eloise, but that was the daftest statement and claim she could have made, and is unworthy and unsuited to Eloise Bridgerton, brilliant as she is. The disrespect. For now, the most disrespected person in the second half of this season, Penelope Featherington. If, like me, you're a fan of Pen, then season 3B must have pissed you off. I'm talking screaming at whatever device you were watching from level of pissed off. Now, if you've watched any of my Bridgerton commentary videos, which if you haven't and this is your first time on my channel, do check out my Bridgerton playlist for my occasional controversial but hopefully well presented takes. But as I was saying, I try to be very level-headed in my Bridgerton commentary videos, often pointing out that these characters are quite flawed and not perfect, and yet I find them compelling, and some of them, a lot of them, very redeemable. It is the beautiful thing about watching a show with human characters. They have layers, some deeper than others. Take Penelope Featherington, for example. Yes, she can be scheming and ambitious and mean with a cotton tongue and pen, but she can also be kind, and she also tries her best to help and look out for those who she considers her people, misguided as some of her actions might be. And I love her, every bit of her, which is why I found myself grinding down on my teeth hard in every scene as the disrespect just kept piling up. Colin having sex with her, because as far as the writers were concerned, the only way that Colin could get Pen to really see that he loves her, not desires her, mind you, loves her, is to have sex with her in their new home before they are married, because he just could not find any other way. Now, some of you might go, but come on, Noria, if you are allosexual and find others sexually attractive, then having sex can be a way to show love, and I agree. But see, what led to the lovemaking was Penelope's insecurity after Portia assumed that Pen had entrapped Colin in some way, which, let's be real, a lot of people probably had that thought when they heard the announcement. It wasn't kind, but considering what Marina had almost done, what Portia had schemed with her to do, it is a pretty valid question. But like I said, Polin having sex was brought on by Penelope's insecurities, with Portia questioning Colin's love for her, which he responds to by having sex with her. And when after they are done and Pen asks him if she did good, as she knows he has more experience, which is a trope in romance novels that I personally find particularly disrespectful, the naive virginal girl and the more sexually experienced male partner, but that's another topic and conversation for another day and another video. Anyway, when Pen asks him if she did okay, he responds by telling her that nothing could ever compare to what they just did. She follows up with not even the women in Paris, and Colin laughs. You can go back and rewatch that scene. This motherfucker, sorry, Violet deserves better. This asswipe of a love interest laughs. He laughs. Like, sure, she asks the question laughingly, but it was more the kind of laughter you give when you don't want the person you're asking to know just how deeply their answer could possibly cut you. So you say it laughingly like it's a joke. But this entire scene of them together was of Penelope worried that she's not enough, and Colin never assuages that particular concern. We end the scene and thus that question with a laugh. And it was so disrespectful. I don't know who to hold responsible for that. Should it be Colin for thinking that laughter was in any way the appropriate response, or the writers for not having Colin immediately put those fears to rest? When you make your love interest a whole in a romance novel, it's always important to give their partner and your readers or viewers the reassurance that sure, they might have stuck their mouth or dick or fingers in everything that breathed and moved, but now that they found their one, no one else compares, not even the most skilled courtesan in the land. It is how it is. Sorry, you know I am speaking facts. But that's not where Pen's disrespect stops. Now, as a book reader, I was already expecting the Cressida claiming to be Lady Whistledown bit coming. I was also expecting Colin to find out as well. His anger at learning the truth was also expected. And I get that they wanted to play things more differently than in the books because they have Colin find out before his marriage to Penelope, so they can start things off on an honest note, which I appreciate. And I would have respected if not that they had them have sex prior to their marriage. We then made Polin give that line that made me want to reach into the screen and knock his bloody teeth out. Because if you were calm in that scene, when after I found out that Pen is Lady Whistledown and she asked him if they were still getting married, and he said those dreaded words, I am a man of honor. Hello, Anthony. Come on, you must have seen that coming. Is it a Noria Bridgerton video if I don't give a shout out to Anthony? Anyway, back to Colin saying, I'm a man of honor. And we've been intimate, so yeah, I'm gonna marry you. You've successfully entrapped me. Not in those exact words, but he did accuse her of entrapping him. I wanted to reach into the screen and punch him in his fucking annoying face. Because I repeat, who was the one who dropped trowel, prepped Penelope for max 10 seconds, and then stuck his dick inside her? Which PSA, if you're still a virgin and have never had sex before, please be aware that movies and TV shows are shit in this depiction. Let your partner, whatever gender they might be, prep you well, properly, with copious amounts of lube. None of that 5 seconds and now we are sliding in nonsense that we just got served. The fucking disrespect. Anyway, back to Colin Bridgerton trying to rewrite history. The person who initiated the sex was Colin. The person whose honor was impeached upon was Penelope. The audacity of this miscreant trying to imply that she trapped him. Pen, I'm so sorry that you fell in love with this idiot and you had to suffer such indignity, the disrespect. And then he had the audacity to be fixated on what she wrote about him at the start of the season. Like it wasn't the truth. Like everything she said wasn't the exact same thing Violet told him in not so many words, which was the impetus he needed to get his head out of his ass and get his girl before she could get proposed to by Lord Deblin. Ah, Lord Deblin, gone but never forgotten. And like I said, Pen really was the most disrespected person in 3B. Eloise being initially dismissive of her work as Lady Whistledown, not really recognizing the amount of work Pen had put into what is her life's work, and telling her that the only name that should matter should be Bridgerton, seeing that that's what Pen would soon be. Disrespectful. Colin yapping on and on about Penelope giving up her writing, talking about how could she have written such horrible things about him, and yet I noticed he never even pointed out the horrible things she wrote about herself. Hell, she reported on herself about needing his help to find a husband and drew the scorn and ire of the ton. If he really was upset at how cruel she was to others, he could at least have acknowledged that she was especially cruel to herself. But he didn't. Instead, he just kept going on and on, constantly insisting that she should forgo Lady Whistledown, talking over Penelope when she mentioned that she could handle the blackmail with Cressida, only to do that, I'm a man, I'm much smarter and can talk a big game thing, and settle in woman, let me, the man, handle this. Only to screw things over even more, with Cressida now demanding for double her ransom and for Pen to clear her name, when Penelope had it well in hand already, and she was right. Disrespectful. Him spending their wedding night sleeping on the couch and all the microaggressions he kept sending her way because she didn't want to give up her life's work. Disrespectful. And that disrespect extended to Colin, who this second half of the season didn't do any favors at all. Like, if you are still a fan of Colin after 3B dropped, please raise your hands, because me personally, I miss the old Colin, the kind and charming Colin, the Colin that told Marina that he would have married her anyway if she had just told him the truth Colin, the Colin that was always aware of when the women in his life were in a bad spot and situation and looked out for them Colin. I miss protective Colin, funny and smart Colin. I miss the Colin who kept fighting with Benedict to be my favorite Bridgerton brother Colin, before Anthony showed up and stole the position, of course. I miss Colin and the way in which they made him judgmental and horrible. That scene the morning after their wedding night when Penelope begged him to wait and see her mother and he just walked away, I needed to take several breaths. Colin Bridgerton is the most gentlemanly of all the Bridgerton men. That is his thing. Anthony is a protective hardhead and hardass. Benedict is the soulful creative who's just a tad slutty. Oh, who are we kidding? He's a lot slutty and we love him anyway. And then there is Colin, kind and sweet and the utter gentleman. And season 3B massacred, butchered, ruined, destroyed. Colin, I will fight for you. You deserve better. You deserve better than this. What the fuck? Like I said, in the books, he does find out and he is pissed for a bit, but he comes around quickly and then he becomes Pen's biggest advocate and protector. Like, if you're a Colin fan, read Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. Yes, he has moments of being needlessly angry and grabby and pushing down his anger, but for me, it was less Colin has anger issues and more Julia Quinn likes writing her men with anger issues, which is very concerning for me. But he was redeemable in the books compared to the disrespect the writers gave him this season. Colin Bridgerton, I will avenge you. And by virtue of how they wrote Colin this season, the show dealt quite the disrespect to Polin fans. And I'm sure you all could probably tell Canthony is more my jam of all the Bridgerton matches we've seen so far. Like I stated in my Why You Connect with Penelope Featherington's video, Canthony is my third favorite Bridgerton couple. But Polin was enjoyable for me to an extent, and I can imagine how frustrated and disappointed Polin fans must be feeling right now. You barely got any love and romance in the first half of season 3, and in the second half, when you were meant to chill and have a blast and enjoy your pairing, you instead get drama, a somewhat forced marriage, a non-existent wedding night, and just conflict up until the last 10 minutes of the show. Like, Canthony fans got longing, stretched over 8 episodes, even in the midst of a false marriage plot, but at least we got longing. You all just got disrespect. I am so sorry. Netflix should be paying for yours therapy. I know I intend for them to pay for mine. The audacity, it makes me boil every damn time I remember. Bridgerton season 3B was a disrespect to love and romance. Like, think about it truly. Did we even get one full episode to really bask in the love and romance of the season, this season? Like, one full hour-long worth of love and romance. Did we get that? Because we got a kiss at the end of episode 2, a wet dream in episode 3, the carriage ride at the end of episode 4, and then the engagement. And by midway through episode 5, neither Pen nor us, the watchers, could bask in the love and romance because we were focused on Eloise's time-bound ultimatum, which, you know, has a way of dimming the lights on any focus on love or romance in any sort of way. Ultimatums are the ultimate boner killers. And we deserved at least a bloody episode of love and romance and wanting. And we didn't get that. Disrespectful. Then there's Bisexual Benedict, which if you're queer or you have eyes, you would have totally been expecting. This show has been queer baiting us fans with the possibilities of Benedict Bridgerton being bi. And did I cheer, like I'm sure a lot of fans did, when we finally got that hot as fuck scene? And then we kept getting the montages and I was screaming, "Get it, Benedict, get it!" But then mid-cheer, it suddenly hit me. These disrespectful motherfuckers, they waited 3 bloody seasons to give us Bisexual Benedict at the end of the season before we get his romance, which means that this is most likely the last time we're going to see Benedict with a man. Because next season we're getting introduced to Sophie, and because we know that Bridgerton isn't bold or daring enough to explore polyamory for their main couple, we know he's going to be celibate after meeting Sophie, and that will be it. Now, I'm not saying that Benedict not getting the chance to have sex with another man in the show makes him any less bisexual. I'm happy that we finally, after 94 bloody years, get by Benedict. They gave us some of the hottest scenes they've ever shot, and that would be the last we would see of them. disrespectful. And the same can be said with Lady Tilley Arnold. Sis, you're too hot, too bloody fine, and too bloody fit. And I consider it disrespectful that we're only getting you in one season of this show. I consider it disrespectful that you exist only in a show because I want to go on my knees and call you mommy. Yes, I am a thirsty bitch. I apologize to everyone who just felt scarred, but I mean, have you seen her? Have you seen Lady Tilley Arnold? And the same as well for Michaela Sterling. God, it's just, they gave us only a glimpse of her, and I find this disrespectful. I mean, look at her. Look at her. Why torture us with just a glimpse? Fuck, I cannot breathe. Fuck. For all of you wondering what the fuck has me all worked up, you need to read When It Was Wicked by Julia Quinn. If that is the only Bridgerton book you read it, because Michaela... I guess I'm spending my time now changing the book in my head to When She Was Wicked. Fuck. Anyway, the disrespect is that now we absolutely must get renewed to season 6 at least, so I can get Michaela. Actually, season 7 as well, because Hyacinth, baby girl, I need to see you get your happy ending. Anyway, away from happy endings and back to disrespect. Like the disrespect they dealt my girl, Cressida Cowper. Now, is Cressida my favorite character in Bridgerton? Hell no. But I do recognize what she's working with, the situation she's bound by, and the world she has to navigate. Yes, I do. It is something I explored in my The Honesty of Cressida Cowper video, and although I do appreciate the depth and nuance that they gave her character in the second half of the season and how they made her motivations much more understandable, I am still miffed that her story is still inconclusive and that nobody gave her the flowers she most certainly deserves for how she played things to get rid of Lord Greer, that disgusting toad. Cressida, even if nobody else gets you, I do. I understand and applaud your efforts. Hopefully she comes back soon. Them sending her so far away has me wondering if that's how they're going to bring her story back around. Does anyone know if her middle name is Sophie, perhaps? Just kidding. Or is it possible? Let me know in the comments. But yeah. Also, the fact that Colin made it seem like he figured out that he was jealous of Pen as Lady Whistledown all on his own was disrespectful as fuck to my girl Cressida. Like, Colin, stop playing, you dunderhead. Nobody is buying that your season 3 ass had enough self-awareness to come to that conclusion. That was all Cressida. Give her a props, damn it. Disrespectful. Then there's the disrespect to Will Mondrich, because say what you will, his storyline kind of died on a whimper in season 3B, and I find that so fucking disrespectful because Will deserved better. We all deserved better. I mentioned in my The True Reason Why the Mondriches Are Relevant to Season 3 video that I could see clearly that the show was trying to draw parallels between both Pen and Will being forced and cajoled by society to give up something that matters to them and brings them their income. Pen with her writing and Will with his bar. Pen got to keep her writing, and I love that for her. Yes, my prediction in my Cressida video was wrong, but she was Lady Whistledown for a brief moment, so I'm still okay with that. But yeah, I love that Pen got to keep her writing, which meant that I found it disrespectful, utterly so, that Will wasn't extended that same mercy or courtesy or grace. It is two-faced and hypocritical of the show and the turn, and I hate it. Disrespectful. And finally, the last bit of disrespect is for all of us fans, because did you all hear that this fucking ass show is going to be gone for 2 bloody years before we come back for the new season, for Benedict's season? I mean, the disrespect. Anyway, let me know in the comments what else you found disrespectful this season. Let's commiserate with each other in the comment section. I love seeing yours comments, and I do try to respond to every single one of them. If you enjoyed this video, do hit the like button. Subscribe if you aren't yet. Share this video if you enjoyed it. And check out my other Bridgerton videos if you liked what I had to say. It all helps grow my channel and is immensely supportive of my content. Speaking of support, a huge thank you to my patrons. You all keep me going and keep the lights on. I don't know what I would do without you all. Truly, thank you. If you would like to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description bar. I make new videos 3 times a week. Mondays are for my anime manga content. My TV shows and movies related videos drop on Wednesdays, and my bookish videos drop on Fridays. If you're a fan of House of the Dragon, I have a HOTD video planned for this Sunday. So keep an eye out for that, and do check it out if it's your jam or if you just want to hear what I have to say. Bridgerton fans, don't worry, you're still getting a new Bridgerton video next week. I have a couple planned. Still undecided if I should drop my Eloise, Benedict or Violet video first. Let me know in the comments which you would prefer to get first. But yeah, all my videos drop at 5 p.m. EST on my upload days, so keep that in mind. Until my next video, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.